Hey everybody, Daily here from Happy Viking Games, and today we have our first episode of Viking Tech. Now, Viking Tech is a new series that we're doing where we're going to show you guys technology that you can play games on or you can use to play games with. And the first thing that we're going to be looking at today is the Magic the Gathering life counters. This is an app on the Android market, and it is a free app. As you can tell, we have an ad at the top there, very minimal, and we're also going to go ahead and take a look at this on our Galaxy tab, so we have a nice big screen for you guys to see, but this app is also available on cell phones and stuff as well. It works just as well. So let's go ahead and get into some of the features of this particular app and show you why this one is a lot better than some of the other ones out there. Now, you may have seen some apps before for Magic, and they're real basic. They don't have a lot of features to them, or they're very plain and bland. You see, this one has a nice background here that is interchangeable, as well as 2 life counters by default. There's only 2, but you can certainly add more if you'd like. You have life tracker at the top here. You tap this and to gain life, and tap this here to gain +5 life. So you can do life totals if you have a life gain deck. You can keep that up, and a simple tap brings you back down and helps you keep track of your life. You also have poison counters, which I'm not exactly sure how poison counters work in this new format of Magic. I don't see a lot of poison tickets or cards available, so I'm not really sure exactly how that works, but I'm sure if you're a seasoned Magic player and you play maybe Modern or Legacy or something like that, that you may have some cards that inflict poison damage. So with that said, there's also a timer at the top here. You see a 50-minute timer for your professional matches, which you can start and stop. If you have a judge call and you need to stop it, you can tap it and it will stop. Okay guys, so the next feature that we have is the counting system down at the bottom. Each player by default is assigned 2 counters. These can be used to count the number of cards in a deck or the number of +1/+1 counters, and you see each one has a plus and minus sign. It starts off with 60 on each side for the standard deck size, and that way you can keep track of how many cards are in your opponent's deck. But you can use this for other things. Like if you have creatures with +1/+1 counters, you can use this to keep note of that, and there's some settings to change that. So with that being said, we'll move on to some of the hidden features in here that are not visible on the screen. That's the reset values button. This is a hidden feature, meaning that you have to tap a button to get to it, which is nice. That way you get a full screen effect. When you do that, it sets everything back to the default play mode. The next thing that we have here is the number of players to track. You tick that, and you can choose the different types of modes. If you're playing Commander or you're playing 2v2, you can set it so that it keeps track of that many different opponents, all the way up to 8. When it goes to 8, you have to scroll the app down to keep track of the player's life, but it's still very helpful, being that you can name the players. One of the other features we have is a dice roller. When you click that, it will show you a random roll for a bunch of different sided dice. We have 6, 8, 10, 12, and 20. And it randomizes this each time. So you just click dice roller and choose what die you want, and that number will pop up. So before, let's say I want to roll a d6, I'll click the dice roller, and then whatever pops up on the d6, which is a 3, that'll be the number that I get. So that's pretty neat. The other thing we have is a coin flipper. There are some cards in Standard right now that require you to flip a coin. One of them being a black swamp card, and when you flip that, you lose 6 life or 3 life or something like that. But the point is, we have a coin here that flips, and you tap it and it goes away. So you can do that. The next thing we have is the More Features button, which you can see the history of matches. different options. Within the options, there's everything from the countdown timer. You have some battery and life-saving modes. You can disable the poison counters. You can change the font colors, the starting life, the players' names. You can move all the way down to the starting counters. This is what I was talking about earlier with the deck starting at 60 for keeping track of that. You can set it to 0 and use it for +1+ counters, and you can also choose how many it starts with. So after that, we'll back us up here and we'll look at the next feature, which is the search cards. You can search cards via these three search engines. You have TCG Player, Magic Card Info, and Wizards.com, which will allow you to look up prices or specific cards that you're unfamiliar with, or you open a booster pack and you want to look up the value of a card. You can do that using this app. You have the rules section, which you can view in PDF format, basic English, and then it has a couple of different other options for you to choose from. The next feature that this app is going to have is a select picture for background, which I thought was really cool. Now here's the bad part about this, is here's the pictures for background, and you'll see that they're just labeled 1 through 9, and you know what? You don't know what those are, so you'll have to play around with them. There's 5, and you can choose these, but you'll have to memorize what they are. So this is the best contrast one, so it says it does look pretty cool, and it does give you a good contrast. It looks good even here on the camera. But moving on, we have the check DCI number. Now the check DCI number is a separate feature that will take you back here to a Magic homepage. Okay, so the next part, it was to have the mana base calculator, and this lets you calculate base mana for the costs that you're running in your deck. It will kind of give you a basically a layout of what type of mana you should have based on the costs of your cards, which is super cool. For a new player like me, a feature like this goes a long way, and I was really happy to have this. So thank you guys for watching. This is Daily from Happy Viking Games, and we'll see you on the next episode of Viking Tech.